Nearly every long-distance runner knows the pivotal moment at the halfway mark when confidence begins to slip. Despite training well, their legs feel heavier than expected. Doubt creeps in. The finish line hasn't moved, but their certainty has. At that moment, the question is no longer about strength, it's about their resolve. Will they quit because confidence is fading, or will they continue because they must finish the race? History shows that entire nations have faced that same test. Greetings, Patriots. I'm Perry Greene, and this is God in America, where we reconnect God and America by telling of His hand in our history. You may be among the Americans who feel uncertain and discouraged right now, wondering whether perseverance still makes sense when outcome seems bleak and involvement feels inconsequential. The Battle of Long Island reminds us that early failure does not end the mission. On August the 27th, 1776, the Continental Army faced its first major confrontation with the British Army at the Battle of Long Island. The Declaration of Independence was barely a month old. The ideals of liberty had been boldly proclaimed, but now they would be tested on the battlefield. General George Washington commanded roughly 10,000 mostly inexperienced American troops who were poorly supplied and unsure of themselves. Facing them were more than 30,000 veteran British and Hessian soldiers under General William Howe. During the battle, the American lines collapsed. Washington watched as his army was driven back to Brooklyn Heights. One observer recalled that Washington appeared nearly overwhelmed with grief, recognizing how close the revolution came to ending before it had truly begun. Yet God often works most clearly when our morale is at its lowest. Confidence among the troops plummeted. Independence seemed unrealistic, perhaps even reckless. But then came the moment that changed everything. On the night of August 29 to 30, Washington ordered a full evacuation across the East River to Manhattan with the help of John Glover's Marblehead, Massachusetts fishermen. It was an extraordinary risk maneuver. One misstep could have meant destruction, yet thousands crossed through the night. As dawn approached, a heavy fog settled over the river and the American lines. Colonel Benjamin Talmadge later wrote that a providential fog covered the retreat, shielding the final boats from British view. The remaining soldiers, horses, cannon, and supplies crossed safely. Not a single life was lost in the evacuation. Well, the battle was lost, but the army was saved. Washington later reflected that the hand of providence has been so conspicuous in all this that he must be worse than an infidel that lacks faith. Scripture speaks directly to moments like this. Proverbs 24, verse 16 tells us, "For a righteous man may fall 7 times and rise again." Falling does not disqualify the faithful. Refusing to rise does. The Apostle Paul echoes this truth in 2 Corinthians 4, verses 8 and 9. He said, "We are hard-pressed on every side, yet not crushed. We are perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed." General Nathaniel Greene described the early Continental Army to his wife perfectly. He wrote, "We fight, get beat, rise, and fight again." They were often struck down, but not destroyed. Their confidence shifted from self-assurance to dependence on God's providence. The Bible never promises uninterrupted victory. It promises God's presence and purpose during hardship. Defeat does not define destiny when faith remains. Our God-given liberty is preserved by a people who are willing to persevere with humility, virtue, and trust in Him. Like Washington's army, we may feel outmatched culturally, morally, or spiritually. Confidence may falter when progress seems slow or setbacks multiply. But the calling to faithfully guard liberty has not changed. Liberty in America has endured not because of flawless victories, but because faithful men and women refused to abandon their calling when confidence faltered. Before we close, let me encourage you to identify one challenge that has weakened your confidence. Instead of focusing on the outcome, take one faithful action step today and pray, encourage someone, finish an unfinished task, or keep a commitment. Let your confidence rest in God's calling rather than your circumstances or ability. The providential fog at Long Island reminds us that God often works quietly, not dramatically. shielding, guiding, preserving, even when we don't see it in the moment. Well, thanks for listening today. Until next time, let's keep the light of persevering confidence burning.